In the realm of dojo politics, one thing that will really hurt you is if you talk smack online about the dojo that you attend.
Where them kicks at? Where them hands? Where them holes? Where them throws? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, this is from the martial arts teachers. What is this? This is Martial Arts Teachers Association because they have some good articles, and I should join so I can get more out of it. But they do have good articles, and they got some good material that's available for free. And I'm probably going to go to one of their workshops in the future if I can afford it. But enough about me. We're talking about dojo politics. And like I said in the intro clip, uh, one thing that's bad for you politically is if you talk trash about the dojo that you attend online, even if they're wrong, okay? Talking smack about them online is probably going to hurt you, and it may make an otherwise empathetic or patient instructor just turn on you because you were talking smack about them behind their back. That's how they're going to see it, especially if what you were saying has some merit to it. So this article right here that they sent out is called Instructor's Shocking Response to Student Injury. I try not to read the whole thing. One of the things I'm most proud of with MATA is how students and staff reach out to us for help on various projects. Last week, we were contacted by an adult student who was injured by another student. The injured student's attempt to engage the manager in a follow-up conversation about the incident was resisted, and when the student complained about this treatment, she was expelled from the school. The student had incurred medical expenses, expulsion from the school, and emotional and psychological distress leading to life-threatening serious consequences. Now, I'm wondering here if, she may have some kind of lawsuit for, I don't know, just for pain, trauma, and stress. Maybe she can file some type of civil suit because I'm not seeing where there's anything criminal here, but I'm not a lawyer, so I could be wrong. So they say here, but that they have the student's story below. And they own up to it here. They say, we recognize that we do not have the instructor side of the story. Our goal is not to mediate for the student, but to use this to educate instructors. Most instructors will probably deny the student's version, but that becomes just another part of the story because your word against the student's word is an expensive, uphill battle to win without proof. Now, I am not like most instructors. I don't deny the student's version. I see both sides of it. So here's the story. Dear Mr. Graydon, I have been through a devastating experience with my former martial arts school. As a gold belt last summer, I was in an evening grappling class and paired with a student who had verbally bullied me in a previous class in front of the chief instructor. I was not comfortable with her, but I did not complain. Now I'm thinking right here, she's probably starting off on a bad foot because if she's a gold belt, that's probably like a yellow belt in my system and in most systems. So that probably means that she's a beginner and the instructor's going to feel like he or she has to side with some more advanced student, whether he or she feels that fondly of the advanced student or not. Just, rewarding the person who's been with them the most. So here we go. The instructor gave us a grappling drill and left the floor. As we ran through the drill, my partner sat heavily on my rib cage, dislocating one of the ribs from my spine. The pain grew over the next 4 hours until it was debilitating. I went to urgent care the next morning and was diagnosed later by an orthopedist and chiropractor. So maybe she might have some kind of negligence claim or something because the instructor left. It doesn't say that she was left with another instructor. But then again, I know in my state of Maryland, martial arts are considered an inherently dangerous activity. So you have to prove what they call gross negligence, which I'm guessing means that the instructor was seriously tripping and nobody in their right mind would think that those conditions were safe. So, but again, I'm not a lawyer. During my recovery, the instructor checked in with me via email. However, there was no word about how the accident would be documented, how such an incident might be avoided in the future, or if anyone had spoken to the student who had injured me. I'm going to err on the side of optimism and think that the instructor probably did that but probably didn't want to say that to the gold belt just to save the higher belt's face, as it were, just to avoid embarrassment. I had to insist on a meeting with all the concerned parties. In this meeting, I explained how I had been worried by the lack of attention to the incident. The manager dismissed my concerns and ended the meeting before anyone else could chime in. There were no questions asked or other perspectives encouraged. Everyone seemed afraid to speak honestly and openly. I left feeling confused and discouraged. Now, see, that makes me think this could just be a toxic environment, period. But you can still see some dojo politicking in here because people are afraid to speak honestly when all the authority figures are in the room, which is how people behave. People behave like that at jobs too. And at school, they talk all this smack, right? And then when the professor comes around, the supervisor comes around, everybody clam up. Oop, oop. Now, you may not know it from my normal offline introverted personality, but yes, I will speak up and speak truth to power. I will say something, even though I tend not to say something, even though I tend to be quiet, you wouldn't know it from these videos. But I will say something or speak up to a supervisor or authority figure if I feel like it needs to be done and that it'll be beneficial. Otherwise, I really don't say anything because I feel like I'm just one of scores or hundreds or even thousands of people that man or woman has to deal with. So I feel like they don't need to hear from me unless it's serious. So this is where the gold belt messed up. Frustrated by the situation, I posted about it on my social media feed, not using names, of course. Sharing with others outside the school helped me finally accept the fact that I was not going to get the kind of communication I'd hoped for in the school. So I scaled back my expectations while focusing on recovery. However, within a couple of weeks, I received the dreadful news that a close family member had died. After many days of intense grieving, I needed community and healthy activities again. So I went to the school to tell them I was ready to return to class. They asked me into the office where I sat in the same chair I sat in when I first came to school, gazing up at the image of the wall of Bodhisattva Kuan Yin, goddess of compassion. So she bolded that, I guess, to show some irony. But she messed up with that social media post. And here's proof. The manager brandished a printout of my social media post and accused me of libel. I was told that no apology would suffice, meaning I inferred that I had to be punished. I was also criticized on personal grounds for having family member problems, PTSD from childhood abuse. I was told that I would never be allowed to return to classes. I told the manager that the school, as soon as I record, I told the manager that the school was all I had. It was my community and my life, and pleaded for a probationary period. She refused. A lifelong athlete, I had been drawn from competitive endurance sports to martial arts and had found it to be a beautiful, powerful, and fun experience. It was deeply healing to the sense of powerlessness I had experienced as an abused child. Of course, I got to text while I do this. I had embraced the art as a mental, physical, and spiritual discipline as a lifestyle. I was a devoted student, donating much of my spare time to participate in demos and to help promote the school. I had been friendly and helpful with everyone there, and I had enjoyed a sense of belonging that I had not known before. So, but she messed up though. She messed up by posting that on her social media feed. I bet you at least one person that she knows from that school can see her Facebook page, or it's probably on her Facebook page too, or something. And if you're complaining about a school that you're in currently, and your friends know that you go to that school, everybody knows who you're talking about. So it's like, who do you think you're fooling? You're not fooling anybody by talking smack about your school, but I'm not going to use any name. But they know what school you go to because it's probably the only school that you attend. The only person who might be able to get away with that is somebody like me talking about a school in the past. So when people know that you attend there, I mean, people aren't stupid. They can put two to two together. So this may be where she might be able to have something about pain and suffering. Let's see. When they expelled me right after the loss of a close family member, they took away the social support and structure that I had come to depend on. The distress of the situation piggybacked on my PTSD to overwhelm my coping mechanisms. I had a nervous breakdown. For weeks on end, I fought overpowering urges to harm myself until it became necessary to leave my home and my children for a month to get help at a residential trauma treatment center. But, she had said that she had these problems from an abused childhood, so maybe the dojo's attorneys would argue that those were her problems and not really caused by the dojo. I don't know, though. My layman's uninformed opinion says that she really still wouldn't have that much of a case. She could probably sue for the injury, if anything, but not for this other stuff, especially because she went online and badmouthed the school. I am still piecing my life back together. I don't blame the school for my situation, but I often wonder why they resorted, it says love, it should be they, why they resorted to such harsh measures. Because you talk smack about them. Because you talk smack about them behind their back. Should they have handled it better? Yes. Should they have turned the other cheek as Christ would? Yes. But you're not going to Christ Kwando. You're going to world Kwando. The regular people, they're not Jesus, and even if some of them were religious organizations, they're still people. So they feel like you talking smack about them. That's it. That's all they're going to hear. That's all they're going to think. You talk smack about us, cuz. Forget that, and they're going to get defensive, and that's it. There didn't seem to be any established procedures and policies in place for injuries, conflicts, disciplinary actions, etc. The official code of conduct consisted of a general assertion that students were expected to behave honorably, to participate in all demos, and to show respectful deference to the chief instructor. I'd seen numerous and frequent violations of all of these guidelines, with no reprimands or harsh consequences whatsoever. So there are no answers. The incidents at the school are in the past, and I am making my peace with that. Still, I sometimes struggle to reconcile the teacher I so admired with the choices made around this incident. And though I have grown tremendously with this challenge, personally and spiritually, PTSD makes the recovery a slow process. With PTSD, you cannot simply decide to get over something. Traumatic experiences remain like a shrapnel deep in the limbic system and can be reawakened by new experiences. They have to be processed on many levels and in many ways until they are ingrained into different areas of the brain for safe storage as empowering narratives of deep compassion. That's a mouthful. But I understand. My yoga teacher I had back in the day used to tell me that your trauma is stored in your body. And she was saying, like, that's why my shoulders are stiff, because I used to have a lot of criticism when I was a child. I mean, yeah, I did on the one hand, but then on the other hand, a lot of kids probably do. So I didn't really think of it as, like, oh my gosh, my mother and grandmother were terrible. I mean, people criticize and critique children to help them grow, so whatever, But I was real sensitive as a kid, so I could have took it wrong too. So being heard, understood, respected, and accepted is essential to this process, so I thank you for reading my story. It saddens me that since my attempts to communicate around this difficult situation were met with fear and rejection. And no, it saddens me that my sincere attempts to communicate around this difficult situation were met with fear and rejection. Every time I drive past the mall where the school is housed, I feel a pang of pain and sadness. And you need to change your driving route so you don't see that place. If there's another way for you to get where you're going, you should do that until it's long gone and until you don't have to worry about it anymore. Because I did that from a place where I got fired. And now, since then, I've been back to that building. I don't even care, for real. But I changed my route until I was over it. That's what you got to do. I wish there was some way that I could make them understand how much the school would thrive if they would only embrace open communication and learn some basic principles of conflict resolution. If they only knew how much of a difference they could make. But you talk smack about them online. When you talk smack about people online, they're going to come for you. Is there anything like a standard conflict resolution guide, a guide for working with students recovering from trauma, a communications ethics audit process, an advocacy program, a forum or venue for an article that can help raise awareness? Is there any way for me to use my voice in this situation to make a positive difference? So, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to read, it says here, read the responses from Mr. Graydon and SFIC's Jennifer Armstrong. I'm not going to do that in this video. I may do that later and give my own commentary, but I am going to do my own commentary in another video about this. It'll be another dojo politics thing. Okay? So, all I got to say again about this is, it sounds to me like, yeah, the dojo was wrong, and they probably paired her up with somebody they shouldn't have. It's probably somebody that's already had a past problem of hurting people, somebody that's just a little too aggressive and just went too crazy on the beginner. But when you talk smack about people behind their back, especially if it's true, they're going to get mad and they're going to have something to say about it. Hey, I've had people want to come see me about videos that I've done online where I'm talking about stuff that's reported in the news. I haven't had it as bad as Tommy Sotomayor's had it, but there are people that will get mad about that. So you can only imagine. I mean, and that's reported by the news. And I say too, you know, are you going to go see, or are you going to have words of conflict with the news organization? I know historically that has happened. Some newspaper people used to duel with each other, I think a couple of 100 years ago. Google it. Look up dueling in journalism, and you'll probably get a hit. Google that. So, you know, you go post something online about your school, you're going to lose the political game. So don't do that. And my heart does go out to this gold belt. And what I'm going to say as a solution is going to be put in another video. But it is a good solution. It's a positive solution. It's one I've tried myself. And it's really about the only way you can guarantee that you won't have this type of dojo political problem. So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people who like to talk about the martial arts. And peace.